we'll take a flight to Canada. Canada has discontinuous pieces of land, so it's a fragmented state. It's also a more developed country, so it's an MDC. Canada is in North America. When we arrive in Canada, we'll take a cab to Niagara Falls. There we will complete our first activity. That activity would be to eat Canadian bacon at the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, like the locals do. All of the people around us are of many ethnicities, which is an identity with a group of people that share distinct physical and mental traits as a product of common heritage and cultural traditions. Niagara Falls is very close to the boundary of Canada, which is an invisible line that makes up the extent of a state's territory. The birds are also immigrating from the trees in the falls, which is leaving. After that, we will walk to a local nearby restaurant and make poutine in the back kitchen for activity 2. We are making poutine, which was brought over from France through migration. Migration is a form of relocation diffusion involving a permanent move to a new location. Relocation diffusion is the spread of a feature on trend through bodily movements of people from one place to another. Canada could be considered a functional region because a lot of it's focused around the falls. A functional region is an area organized around a node or focal point. After we complete activity 2, we'll take a cab to the airport and then fly to Moscow and sleep on the plane. Russia is a part of Asia and it is an MDC. After our flight is over, we'll take a cab to the hotel and then sleep there. The next morning, we'll wake up and take a cab to St. Basil's Cathedral and take a tour. There is space or physical gap between the hotel and the cathedral. The cathedral's situation or location of a place relative to other places is about a 7-minute drive from the square. St. Basil's Cathedral is an acumi, or a portion of Earth's surface occupied by permanent human settlement. After that, we'll take a cab to the Red Square and perform activity 3, which is to perform a traditional Russian dance. This place is put onto a GPS, or a system that acquires the precise position of something on Earth's surface through a series of satellites, tracking stations, and receivers by a cartographer, which is a person who makes maps. This place has a pull factor, which is a factor that induces people to move to the location because of its economic activity. After that, we will go to a local bar and perform activity 4, which is to drink Russian vodka and dusha-dushe with someone. Dusha-dushe is part of their folk culture, which is a culture traditionally practiced by a small homogeneous rural group living in their relative isolation from other groups. There's lots of mobility or movement from one location to another going around here. Drinking at night is a custom here. A custom is a frequent repetition of an act to the extent that it becomes a characteristic of a group of people performing the act. Then we'll take a cab to the airport and fly to Kakistan. Kakistan is an LDC, which means it's a lower developed country. It's also a compact state, which means it's a state in which the distance from the center to any boundary does not vary. After our flight is over, we'll take a cab to the local school and perform activity 5, which is to go through a normal Kakistan school day. Kids are going through circulation, which is a short-term, repetitive, on-cycle movement that may occur on a regular basis. Since they are attending school, these kids may one day be a part of the brain drain, which is a large-scale immigration by talented people. The brain drain would happen through international migration, which is the permanent movement from one country to another. Then we'll take a cab to the airport and fly to Austria. Austria is a corrupted state, which means it's an otherwise compact state with a large projecting extension. When the flight is over, we'll take a cab to the horse stable and perform activity 6, which is to watch the horses in a horse show. A common language here is English, and English is a lingua franca, or a language of international communication. Official language, or language used by the government, however, is German, and they speak a dialect of it, which is the original variety of a language. After that, we'll take a cab to Sabrin's grandma's house and perform activity 7, which is to eat a traditional Austrian meal. At the meal at Sabrin's grandma's house, we'll realize there are no distinctive American taboos, which is a restriction on behavior imposed by social custom. The food will be an example of a terrier, the contribution of a location's distinctive physical features to the way the food tastes. This is because Sabrin's grandma grows her own food. Subsistence farming that provides the basic needs of the farmer without surpluses for marketing. Then we will sleep at Savern's grandma's house, and in the morning we'll take a cab to the airport and fly to Italy. When the flight is over, we'll take a cab to the hotel and sleep there. Italy is an MDC, and it's also a perforated state, which means it's a state that completely surrounds another. We'll wake up the next morning, take a cab to the gondola ride, and complete activity 8. Bought the tickets for the gondola ride using language, which is a system of communication through speech. The language we use is part of a language family, which is languages related back to ancestral that existed before recorded history, which is a part of a language branch, which is a collection of languages related through a common ancestral language. After that, we'll take a cab back to the hotel and rest, then a cab to Carnival on the streets, and take part in that for activity 9. All the people on the streets, we wonder what the doubling time is, but we realize it's never, because Italy has reached 0 population growth. Doubling time is the number of years it takes to double a population. 0 population growth is the decline of the total fertility rate to the point where the natural increase equals 0. After that, we take a cab to the airport and fly to Rwanda and sleep on the plane. Rwanda is an LDC. After our flight, we'll take a cab to Hotel Rwanda where for activity 10, we'll tour the historic site. This hotel once housed Tutsi refugees. Refugees are people who are forced to migrate from their home and can't return for fear of persecution. They had to seek shelter here because of conflict created by Belgium's attempt to colonize Rwanda. Colonization is when a country establishes settlement and imposes its political, economic, and cultural principles in another territory. The conflict was between the Tutsi and Hutu races. Race is the identity with a group of people descended from a common ancestor. It was started partially because of Belgium's racism. Racism is the belief that one race is better than the other. After that, we will take a cab to our hotel and sleep there. The next day, we'll wake up and take a cab to an orphanage, and for activity 11, we'll volunteer there. The culture here, or the body of customary beliefs, social forms, and mental traits that together constitute a group of people's distinctive tradition, is very different from what you'd see in America. There are many refugees here due to the ethnic cleansing attempt. Ethnic cleansing is the process in which a more powerful ethnic group forcibly removes a less powerful one in order to create an ethnically homogeneous region. After that, we'll take a cab to the airport and fly to Kenya. Kenya is a compact state. When we arrive there, we will take a cab to Giraffe Manor, and for activity 12, we'll eat with the giraffes. While eating with the giraffes, we realize that it's possible for ethnic tribes around us to believe in animism. There's the belief that objects such as plants, stones, or natural events like thunderstorms have discrete spirits and conscious lives. Animism is often a trait of ethnic religions, especially in mid to low Africa. Ethnic religions can be monotheistic, meaning one god, or polytheistic, meaning many gods. Ethnic religions are one group of people living in one place's religion. After that, we will take a cab to the airport and fly to Tanzania. Tanzania is an LDC. When we arrive there, we will take a cab to Bubuka, and for activity 13, we'll go to the local carnival. Babuka could be put onto a GIS system to be analyzed and have the geographical data computed. The location of the outdoor festival has been projected onto a map before. GIS is a computer system that sources, organizes, analyzes, and displays geographical data. Location is the position of anything on Earth's surface. Projection is the system used to transfer locations from Earth's surface to a flat map. A map is a two-dimensional or flat representation of Earth's surface or a portion of it. That night, we'll sleep in the hotel nearby. Then we'll wake up in the morning, take a cab to the airport, and fly to Chile. Chile is an elongated state, which means it's a state with a long, narrow shape. When we get there, we'll take a cab to the local marketplace, and there for activity 14, we'll shop there and eat the hottest pepper we can find. Chile is rich in resources, and resources are a substance in the environment that is useful to people, is economically and technologically feasible to access, and socially acceptable to use. After that, we will take a cab to the stargazing area, and for activity 15, we'll experience the brilliance of the Chilean night sky. We wonder how many people get to see this, and then we realize that Chile takes a census approximately every 10 years. And a census is complete enumeration of a population. When we're done with that, we'll take a cab back to the airport and fly to Louisville.